Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mickey, I love your name, by the way. I just think that's so creative there. My name's Mickey, by the way. When you worked in Texas, did they have a voluntary placement system down there?
I wouldn't really call it a system, and I know Ms. McGee would think this is just awful, what we would do. Of course, this was, it worked. And of course, the application of it's limited, really to the investigation stage. But a lot of times when you go out, at first, you may go to the home, you may talk to the child, or talk to the parent, and you don't know, you don't have all the facts then. But there's enough to make you worry. And maybe there's something the parent can do to keep the child safe for a little while you finish your investigation. So we would do what we call a safety plan. And we might ask, I mean, you could do small things on there, you know, I can't think of any examples now, but you know, you could, anything you want the parent to agree to do, you know, that's going to help keep the child safer, you can put on there. Of course, which I always had to stress is this is an agreement, because we couldn't force them to do it without going to court. I mean, and that's, being an investigator, that's something I think you realize. You don't really have any power, you know, unless you're removing the child off. So you learn to persuade people to do stuff. Now, the safety plan, I think, was a good tool in doing that. Now, we might, and you might, you know, say, you know, can the child stay with grandma for a couple of days while I do my investigation, you know, and get them to agree to it. And we did that quite a bit, and it worked. Now, you know, you have to be careful in the application of it, you know. And it's really not a long-term, anything that would be a long-term solution. Beyond that, I mean, we didn't have any provision for long-term voluntary placement, so yes.
When you worked for the state of Arkansas, did you try encouraging that?
Well, I do remember a couple of conversations and got the impression that the agency was adamantly against anything like that.
From top down?
Yes.
Okay. I see Ms. McGee shaking her head while somebody else is testifying. Well, it's politely, but it was probably. What was your rebuttal?
So, in Arkansas, we did that. Remember, I started as a caseworker in 1983, went to law school later, worked at the Department of Human Services as a caseworker for several years out in the field of Pulaski County. So we did that. We were like, sweet, you want to put your child with somebody else? We'll let you do it during the investigation. We had 2 children die in this state. We did that. It happened. And everyone said, we're not doing this anymore. It was called an illusion of safety. To say, gosh, left them off to grandma's. And sure enough, we did it. One kid was up in the Fort Smith area. One was down in Texarkana area. The parents had access to them and killed the kids. So we stopped doing that. So, yeah, don't go backwards. Been there, done that in Arkansas unless you want to see some dead children. There's no protection for the children. That's why our recommendation, which was going to court and getting those emergency orders of less than custody, then you have a court order, you have a judge, you have the might and the power of the court to protect the kid over with a relative.
Having said that, have we ever had any kids in custody of a foster care been killed by a foster parent? Have we ever had a kid in foster care molested, raped, or abused?
By foster parents?
Yes.
When you say there have been very few instances in which a child death has occurred while in the home of a
Have we
foster
had
parent.
child death?
There are allegations, and there have been some true findings of foster parents who have abused the children in their home.
And do we continue our foster care system?
Pardon me?
And do we continue our foster care system?
Yes, sir.
So although we have had some death, some rape, some whatever, we still continue that system. But we wouldn't consider that. And that's what it's sounding like, is because we had some tragedy, we don't figure a way to fix it.
No, I mean, I've already told you, we came up with a proposal with court oversight and the family selecting, which is something that Texas does. And let me just say this. I've ratted Texas out to the feds. So we go out and they go, hey, do a safety check on this home. Child welfare goes, well, okay, we'll go knock on a door. They knock on a door. There's a little boy there, and they go, hey, we're from Arkansas Child Protection. He started weeping, thinking we were going to send him back to his biological parents in Texas. So we start unraveling it with Texas and find out that during the course of the investigation, they allowed the family member to cross state lines and put them with a family member in Arkansas with no protection. Never went to court, never protected that child. No, I wrote an email to the feds and said, this is what Texas called child protection. This is ridiculous. And their lawyer said, hey, How about quit going to the fence now? When you have an issue with Texas crossing over with Arkansas, come to us first. So no, I've had issues with Texas's practice for a while, and in fact, they've been sued. Right now, they have a federal civil rights lawsuit in Texas. They're waiting the court decision as we speak. Don't think we want to
Okay.
use them as a role model.
One last question, if I can. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, there's multiple states that have been sued, so I don't know if that's, well. But I was an investigator for 4.5 years, and then I became a supervisor in an investigation unit. I averaged probably 30 investigations a month. In that 4.5 years, I did 6 removals. I never had a bad outcome. I never had a child die on a case that I'd worked. Nothing like that. In 4.5 years.
All right, thank